You've almost certainly seen these mysterious inkblots before, right? Well, the story of the guy who created them, a man who was literally nicknamed Inkblot as a kid, is even more fascinating. So let's get into it. So, it all starts with an image just like this. It's symmetrical, it's ambiguous, and yeah, it's kind of unsettling, right? It's basically a canvas for your mind, designed to pull out your deepest thoughts and feelings. But the real question is, how on earth did a simple ink blot become one of the most iconic and, let's be honest, controversial tools in all of psychology? And that is the big question. It's the whole idea Hermann Rorschach built his theory on. See, he wasn't just interested in what you see. He was fascinated by how your mind tries to make sense of the chaos, how it organizes that ambiguity. He believed that whole process could reveal the hidden blueprint of our personality, our unconscious fears, desires, and the way we think. So, to really get the test, you've got to understand the man behind it. And his story, well, it doesn't start in some sterile psychiatric ward. Nope. It starts in a childhood just packed with art, games, and a nickname that, we'll see, incredibly fitting. Hermann Rorschach was born in Zurich, Switzerland, back in 1884. And his dad was an art teacher who filled his world with paints and pencils. He was always encouraging him to draw, and this is the key part, to really interpret the world around him. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Rorschach's entire life's work, it started as a popular kids' game. It was called klecksography, which you can think of as inkblotography. The idea was simple. You drop a blob of ink on paper, fold it in half, and then open it up to see what kind of wild creature or shape appeared. And apparently, it was a game he was just obsessed with. He loved it so much, in fact, that his school friends gave him a nickname, Klex. And Klex is just the German word for inkblot. How wild is that? It's like this prophetic label for the kid who would one day make these inkblots famous all over the globe. So when it came time for him to think about a career, Rorschach was at this huge crossroads. On one hand, you have his whole upbringing pulling him towards art. But on the other, his mind was really getting drawn to the structure and logic of science. He was so torn, he actually wrote a letter to the famous biologist Ernst Haeckel to ask for advice. But what finally pushed him one way was a personal tragedy. While Rorschach was still trying to figure it all out, his father passed away. And in the wake of that loss, he made his choice. He turned away from his father's world of art and went all in on science, enrolling in medical school to study psychiatry. And it was there, in medical school, that his childhood hobby and his new professional path would collide and create something, well, truly revolutionary. So, as a med student, Rorschach gets totally swept up in all these exciting new ideas about psychoanalysis. The theory that our unconscious minds are really the ones driving the bus. And this got him thinking about his old game, Klex. It sparked a question. Why do two people look at the exact same inkblot and see completely different things? So he started showing these inkblots to his patients and analyzing their responses, but this time with a whole new scientific focus. And his focus was, just intense. In a little over a decade, he went from a fresh medical graduate to publishing Psychodiagnostik. That's the book that officially introduced his inkblot test to the world. Think about that. He had systematically turned a simple parlor game into a serious potential tool for diagnosis. But right at this moment, just as his groundbreaking work is getting out into the world, the story takes this sudden, tragic turn. It's a twist that would end up shaping the future of his test in ways he could have never, ever imagined. 37. That's how old Hermann Rorschach was when he died. Yeah, just 1 year. Only a single year after he introduced the world to his life's work, he was gone. He died, just suddenly, from an infection after his appendix ruptured. And just like that, he left his inkblot test as basically an orphan, right at the beginning of its life, with no creator there to guide it or defend it. So in the years after his death, the Rorschach test just exploded. It became a full-on pop culture phenomenon. But without its creator around, it also became a battleground for this one huge question that honestly still lingers today. Is this a legit scientific tool, or is it just a subjective party trick? And for decades, the scientific community really did go back and forth on this. By 2001, a lot of people were dismissing it as just subjective pseudoscience. But then something interesting happened. Between 2013 and 2015, a whole new series of meta-analyses came out, and what they found was that when you use a standardized scoring system, the test actually does have reliable and valid uses. This went a long way in helping restore its credibility. And now for a much, much stranger twist in his modern legacy. Rorschach's photo has found a whole new life online. Why? Well, in recent years, a ton of people have pointed out that he bears this really striking resemblance to the actor Brad Pitt. It's this piece of viral trivia that, in a weird way, keeps the man behind the Inkblots popping up in our feeds. So, from a kid nicknamed Inkblot to a controversial scientific pioneer, Hermann Rorschach's story is every bit as complex as the images he created. And it kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? Maybe our endless fascination with what we see in these weird shapes isn't really about the Inkblots at all. Maybe it's a reflection of our own deep human need to understand ourselves. And maybe just as importantly, to feel like someone else out there understands us too.